Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Tryhard Nation. As always, I'm your host, the omegatryhard, and today we have our second to last tier list, which is going to be for the mutant class. So buckle up, because this class is stacked. Let's go ahead and roll that intro. So, typical disclaimer at the beginning of a tier list. This game is very complex. This is just my tier list. This is by no means the end all be all kind of tier list. This is just my interpretation, my general guidelines to give you guys or how to know on what's good and what's bad. But everything changes based on your playstyle, your masteries, where you are in the game, your roster, node interactions, all that kind of stuff. So the way that you read the tier list is top to bottom. It's going to be best to worst. Left to right is going to be best to worst. So if the tier list was like this, Apocalypse would be the #1 character, Havoc would be the second, and then these would all be the bottom barrel characters, with Storm Pyramid X being the best of the worst and Platinum Pool being the worst of the worst. S tier is super awesome. This is the tier that's typically reserved for the best of the best, the top 5 of every class. The amazing tier is going to be for characters that are very strong, have lots of utility or lots of damage or whatever usefulness it is that they bring. They're just a little bit shy of that auto slot S tier potential. B is the basically average tier. This is the tier that is reserved for characters that aren't good, but they're not bad. They're just playable. They might not do anything specifically great or specifically bad. They're just pretty average everywhere. C is the come on, you're so close tier. These are characters that are so close to being good, but they're just missing one bug fix or one tweak or one value buff that can really take them from 0 to hero really quickly. And the D damn it and kabam tier is going to be reserved for the champions that are completely unplayable, that need to be reworked, need to be massively buffed, or whatever it is to improve them. Also, not sure why this says tech. I'm pretty sure it'll say that for the last 3 videos, but yeah, here we are. Storm Pyramid X, I'm gonna put she probably deserves to be in the A tier, but I'm gonna put her in the B tier just because Mutant is really stacked, and I feel like the A tier is going to be really stacked, so I'm just gonna leave her here, and maybe we'll put her up a little bit later on. She's has really good damage. She has quick access to prowess, which could be useful in certain scenarios. She has decent synergies, I believe. She can go unblockable. She also has like lancing mechanic, and something that I personally really like about her, which is very unique, is when she parry stuns the opponent, if they shrug it off, she reapplies it with a longer passive stun. So basically you can use her to get around Kingpin, around I even think things like Masochism, Daredevil, the Hell's Kitchen one. She's a really good option, just really cool, really fun character. Not particularly great though. Namor is the OG prestige god. His damage is insane. His utility is some of the most unique, some of the most effective, and some of the most sought after in the entire game. However, you need to be signature 200 or bust for him. There's no middle ground. You have to be sig 200. Otherwise, it's way too unreliable. But what it does is it reflects damage that you would take while you're attacking. So this helps in so many scenarios. It makes it so if you're using suicide masteries, the bleed and the poison just become a net regen whenever you're attacking, which gives him a lot of sustain. You can use him versus people like Electro, where you take those that thorn damage, that reflect damage as you're hitting them, and not only does he not take it, but he reflects it back at the opponent. If you're using him for something like Biohazard, you can use it to really stack up the debuffs and then slow down your attack rate as you're attacking into them. And all that debuff damage that you're accumulating, you're actually going to be reflecting at the opponent. And you can use that to really manipulate the opponent and do a lot of very interesting things. And yeah, he's just super, super awesome. Apocalypse. He used to be the top of the S tier, the top of the mutant class, one of the best characters in the game, but there's a character that came and topped him, and we'll talk about that person in a little bit. He is insane. His ability to support other characters is absolutely nuts. His synergies are all pretty insane. He can't be his debuffs can't be shrugged off. He applies a lot of debuffs. His debuffs increase his damage. He can disorient, he can bleed, he can poison, he can degen, he can just do so many awesome things, and it feels very natural, it feels very fun, you feel very powerful when you play him. Again, he's another character that is perfectly designed in my opinion. He's really strong, really effective, has a good signature ability, but it's not needed, has good synergy, good support, good on defense. Everything is good, but not overpowered, which is exactly what you want to see. Next is Cyclops. He's such a cool character in the lore, and he's very bad in game. Kabam acknowledges it. Kabam Mike makes jokes about it all the time, but for some reason I don't think he's ever going to get fixed. Sabretooth, I'm going to put here. Doesn't really do anything special, but his damage is really good. His damage potential is really good. If you use the Sasquatch synergy especially, he can basically infinitely ramp up. Well, not infinitely anymore. I think it stops at like 60 or 30 persisted furies, but still his damage gets pretty insane if you do it right. But that's basically all he does. Strife, my boy Strife. I love this character. His ramp up is a little bit difficult, a little bit hard, a little bit unforgiving, but if you can make it past those first couple fights to get his ramp up started, he doesn't even need to be fully ramped up to be pretty insane. He has a really good horseman ability with Apocalypse. He can go unblockable with that, but at a base level he can stop unstoppable. He can become immune to passive burst damage or something like that. So things like, I don't even remember what it is, but it's a really good piece of utility. Man, it's completely blanking right now. He has psychic shielding, so he's immune to reverse controls. His medium, heavy, and first light don't make contact, I think, so he can get around things like electro. He has a miss mechanic, he has pretty good shock, he has really good damage potential just in general. He's one of the best characters for long form content, right behind Aegon, and in some cases even better than Aegon because his ramp up is a little bit quicker. Weapon X. Weapon X, I'm actually going to put at the Amazing tier. He's probably going to either be at the bottom of the Amazing or the top of the B tier, but he's one of the very few trophy champions. Well, there's actually only like 3 trophy champions, but he is the rare scenario in probably games in general where a trophy champion that you get as like a reward for doing something really well competitively is actually very strong. He's really good offensively because he goes unblockable, has decent regeneration, decent bleed damage, but he's also good defensively because he goes unblockable, he goes unstoppable, has really good regeneration, really good damage. Just overall a really strong character. Storm, I'm going to put her in the come on you're so close, and the only reason she's in the come on you're so close instead of the damn it kabam is because the Apocalypse synergy and some other synergies, I can't remember which, actually make her fairly decent as an attacker now. She still has really high damage with that special 2. The stuns are fairly strong, and I think it's a pretty high chance of stunning. But yeah, she just needs a couple tweaks to increase her like normal shock resistance and shock damage and stuff like that, or maybe give her some prowesses or something like that to make her just a little bit better. She's so close, but yet so far. Sunspot, I'm going to put at the top of the basically average because he doesn't do anything special. He just has insane damage if you get his rotation right. He has a really unique way of building power, as well as he takes 0 damage when the opponent is incinerated while he's blocking. So his perfect blocks are going to be perfect blocks. They're going to be a little bit longer. They're going to be 0 damage as long as the opponent has incinerates. Professor X, I'm going to put him probably right there. Really good character. He just has a really high skill cap, which is why I'm putting him a little bit lower. Actually, we'll see. We'll see how the list plays out, and he might actually go into the S tier. But he's really good, really high damage potential, really good utility. He has a unique / weird mechanic where the opponent isn't power locked, but they can't use their power even though they have it. I don't really know how to explain it other than doing that, but he stops miss, he stops evade, he can rinse specials, and kind of has like a built-in power reserve mechanic, and can build up prowesses really strong or really quickly. He's really good. He's just really hard to use and really hard to master, but if you can master him, man oh man does he get out of hand. Jubilee, I really like her, but she's basically average. She's another character like Ronin in the skill class who is a jack of all trades but a master of none. So even though she does a lot of things and you can use her if you wanted to, in most scenarios for whatever it is that you'd be using her for, there's easier, better options all across the board. Rogue is a character that, man, I really want to put high. I really want to put her here. But if I'm being honest, she's probably going to be somewhere at the top of the basically average tier because she is so strong. She is so strong. She has really good regeneration, really good power steal, her ability to shrug off debuffs really quickly. In some cases, it's actually more beneficial than flat out being immune. She can steal buffs from the opponent, which in a lot of cases, again, is very useful. If you've watched Suida at all, he has shown the absolute powerhouse that she is. However, she just needs a couple tweaks, just a little bit of the change of her timing on the, I forget the name of the mechanic, but she has like a timer that goes on whenever you steal ability or buffs. So like you have to be making contact with the opponent every like 2 seconds or something like that to keep the buff going, but it doesn't pause at all. If you just simply pause that through special attacks or something like that, or maybe as you gain a dex buff, pause it for like half a second, something to lengthen that, because in endgame content where you're like baiting specials or there's a lot of power gain and stuff like that where you can't be hitting them constantly, it's very hard to keep that those stolen buffs up. If they just change that just a little bit, she would easily jump up to the A, maybe even S tier, because she is very powerful. But right now, that's kind of where she has to sit. Archangel, on the other hand, makes this game completely easy. And while before I used to say, you know, he's only good if you can't bleed or if you can both bleed and poison the opponent, that is still true. However, Kabam surprisingly has not released that many double immune champions since his inception, I guess. I think there's what, like 180 characters in the game, something like that at this point, and I want to say only like 30% of them aren't double immune or are double immune. So most of the characters in the game, he's effective. Not only just effective against, he completely shuts them down and makes nodes null and void. He makes them super cut and dry. You just have to parry heavy and you basically win the game. He's a very boring character to me. I personally do not like him at all. I have him and I don't really use him. I've used him once since I got him, and that's because I literally had no other options. But I mean, he's a good character. I can't knock him for that. Emma Frost, I'm going to put her in the A tier. She has tons of utility with her diamond form. She does a lot of damage. She also has some utility in her telepath form, is that what it's called? Where she can be evaded. So she's a really good evade counter if you know how to manage her energy, but it's basically just always have more power than her, or more power than the opponent. But yeah, super strong, super simple character. Don't know why more people don't use her. Cyclops, same thing as Blue Cyclops, just dog shit. Don't use them. Colossus, I think, is a character that probably deserves to be in the super awesome tier. Again, I personally don't like him. I think he's a very, very boring character. So I'm going to make the decision on the fly. I'm going to put him at the top of the amazing tier and swap him for Professor X. Tons of utility, tons of damage, can go unblockable, very easy to use, very straightforward, but I don't know. I don't like him. I think he's overhyped. Domino, I'm going to put at the top, at the bottom of the amazing tier. She's really good, really strong. She has a really good Trinity team with Red Hulk and Massacre that can make you cheese a lot of content. My issue with her is that she's very RNG dependent. She very consistently needs to rely on, like, not rely on, but to really be effective, the opponent has to be unlucky. She has to get lucky. You have to get critical bleeds. You can get perfect stuns and stuff like that on her, but I don't know. I hate RNG in games, and she's pure RNG. X-23, basically average. She's just a worse version of Wolverine. She has really good damage. I think maybe even better damage than him, but her regen is really bad, just really, really bad, and she just has no utility at all. It's just all damage with some regen. Iceman, I'm going to put an amazing tier. I don't care what you guys say. Very easy, very straightforward, triple immune champion with good damage. That's all you need to tell me. He's amazing. I don't care if I'm biased. It's my list. That's where he's going. Wolverine, I'm going to put at the top of the B tier. I wish I could put him higher because I know a lot of people love him, but again, he has no utility. His only piece of utility is his regeneration, which requires him to be duped and pretty high sig, I think. And even then, if you get screwed on RNG, that regen, it's too unreliable. His damage isn't high enough. The only way that he's usable, in my opinion, is if you make him a horseman. But again, any character where you need a specific thing to be useful, I don't personally like. And I acknowledge I'm probably selling him short, because when the regen does proc, it's very, very, very potent. But it's too RNG dependent for me. Gambit, pretty average. When you make him a horseman, he gets quite a bit better because he gets the perfect blocks. He can charge up his stacks twice as fast. But as much as I love the character himself, just in the game, he's just not very good. Psylocke. Here we go. Mommy Psylocke, the baddie herself. I will die on this hill until the day that I quit this game. Psylocke is one of the best power controllers in the game. She gets slept on for reasons that I don't understand. She, as long as the opponent has 0 power, she can infinitely power lock them. Meanwhile, having pretty decent damage if you factor in things like her special 2, her special 1, her special 3, her heavy attack, charge, explosion. Oh, sorry, probably not a good sign that I yawned through that. Please don't hold that against me, guys. But yeah, she's just absolutely incredible, and I don't know how people sleep on her. I took her to rank 2 um 3 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, when I pulled her for the first time as a 6-star. She's immediately going to rank 3 as I get the ISO for it. I have no more ISO. I used all of it, taking her to rank 2. But I'm also really tempted to use my 6-star mutant gem on her because I enjoy her that much. She is just so freaking good, and I want to show videos using her and showing her off and showing how effective and how strong she is, because people disrespect her and I really don't understand why. White Magneto, mostly support character, but can also be used offensively. Pretty good. I don't really know what else to say against him. Good verse text, or good with text, I should say. His pre-fight gives extra bonuses to heroes and metal champions, but yeah, just good, simple. Havoc, I think I'm gonna put somewhere towards the top of the basically average. He is really good. He does a lot of damage. His prowesses and the way that they work are a little bit confusing, but when you understand them, he can do a lot of damage, a lot of constant damage. His feedback is a unique debuff to him that again, if you manage it right, you can have a lot of damage just constantly on the opponent. He's immune to incinerate, and I think he has another piece of utility about power that I'm not 100% sure about. But yeah, he's a good character, just doesn't do anything particularly great or particularly bad, just good. Beast, come on, you're so close. His combo mechanics, his different stances, really cool. Man, it's about that time. After talking for like 2 hours making these videos at 2 in the morning. Yeah, sorry guys. He's so much potential. His stances, if you just tweak a little bit of the damage that they do or the utility that they bring, he could be good. But in the current state of Beast, just no thanks. Bishop. I'm gonna put him somewhere around here. He is super good now. He's really good on defense, but he's also really good on offense now. He does a lot of damage. He's really good versus tech, or not versus tech, versus skill champions, especially skill champions that try to shrug off debuffs. I'm looking at you, Kingpin and Agent Venom. He really punishes them. He does a lot of damage. He can go unblockable. He can apply a lot of debuffs. He has on-demand regenerations. He's just super strong character now. Super strong. Gold pool. Let's do platinum pool and normal Deadpool all in the come on, you're so close. Nah, they just don't really do anything. They're exclusive champions that are just meant to be funny and wacky, and yeah. Omega Red. Omega Red. Actually, I'm gonna put you here because I see who's coming next. So Omega Red, I think, is pretty nuts, especially if you have suicides, or actually only if you have suicides. He has a lot of utility. He has a lot of damage. He can power drain. He can regenerate. He can apply really strong degeneration. He can do damage to you without actually hitting you. He can whatchamacallit, avoid making contact, so he's useful versus things like Korg and Electro. He's just a really good control champion. His only downfall is that you need him to be duped, and you kind of need him to be max sig. However, it's not needed. It's just you do the most damage at that point. As long as you're above like 100, above like the halfway mark, I think he's still very good. Even below that, he's still really good. It's just the higher you get him, the better he gets. So SIG 200 is kind of where people say he needs to be at. Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde, the best mutant champion in the game. One of the best champions in the game. I would argue the best, the number one character in the game. She's just absolutely insane. If you play her properly, she can basically never take damage and constantly throw special threes. I don't know how that's allowed, but if you want to check out Legacy has a lot of videos on her. She's absolutely nuts, absolutely broken. She takes everything that Ghost does and she puts it into herself. So Ghost needs the synergy with Wasp to go unblockable. She just goes unblockable. Ghost needs the synergy with Hood to take no damage. She just has it in her duped ability. The ability that Ghost has to gain power when you're being hit and being missed, tied into Kitty Pryde's signature ability, but way more damage. Her phase also gets paused. Just everything that you could say about Ghost, you can say about her, but it's basically better. The only thing that Ghost has above her is that she turns debuffs into Furies, whereas Kitty Pryde just makes them not do damage. But in some cases, I'd argue that's a little bit better because you can turn that into a regeneration and heal off some of that damage that you're going to be taking as like chip damage and stuff like that. So we'll get into that a little bit more in the overall tier list, but yeah, Kitty Pryde is absolutely nuts. Mr. Sinister, I'm going to put at the bottom of the basically average. He's a character that has a lot of potential. He can do a lot of really cool things, but his issue is he needs to be max sig, and he needs to have the right nodes on his path to give him his persistent charges. If you don't get the right mix, he's not going to be that effective, and he's not going to be that great. But yeah, he still has some pretty cool pieces of utility. He has psychic shielding, I believe. I believe he can also block unblockable special attacks. He can transfer damaging debuffs over to the opponent with a special one. So he's a surprisingly decent option for things like Biohazard, or what is that node? It's like Biohazard but with Incinerate and Cold Snap. I can't remember the name of it, but you can use that, get a bunch of debuffs, and then just transfer it onto the opponent and kind of cheese it that way. Magneto is the other one, the other god of the mutant class. He just completely destroys tech champions, minus Nimrod. He makes them look like little baby back. I'm gonna try and save the language a little bit here, but yeah, he's awesome. He is really boring to play, but he's awesome. He has quick access to prowess, to unstoppable. His level 2 gives a armor break. His level 3 applies a bunch of armor breaks or a bunch of bleeds, depending on if you're immune or not. Really easy, really straightforward, really effective champion. Old Man Logan, just average. You can use him if you want, but he doesn't do anything particularly great or particularly bad. Just average. Cable. This could be a little bit controversial, but I'm gonna put him in the basically average. With the Apocalypse Horseman ability, he probably jumps somewhere up to here. But again, if you need a synergy champion, if you need to take up another slot on your team to make a character good, in my opinion, that devalues the character. That is not something in his core abilities that makes him good. It's something that somebody else brings to the table that would make him good. So I take that as a point against him. So I'm going to put him on the basically average tier, because if you pull him, you're not really going to want to use him unless you also already have a ranked up Apocalypse. Yeah, you're also dog shit with all the rest of your Deadpool brothers. And Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler actually doesn't. Come on, you're so close here. He has decent damage. His evade is cool. It's a little bit unique because you don't need the dexterity master to do it. And I think it actually can avoid or can dexterity some things that you can't normally evade. Like I think you can use Nightcrawler to completely evade Winter Soldier Special 2 and War Machine Special 1. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. That's going to be it for this tier list. This was a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but this class is super stacked. Basically, this whole chunk right here, let's move you there. This whole chunk right here, there's probably arguments to that they're all like top 5% champions. Some of these can even be argued that they're the amazing tier, but I'm just trying to keep it a little bit more balanced, so it's not just like good, or like everything up here is super good and then all this is super empty. But yeah, this is just my interpretation of it, so let's just go ahead and start doing the little Texas shuffle here. Let's put you there, you guys there. This all seems believable, right? Alright guys, and this is going to be the recap for the mutant class. Kitty Pryde, completely busted. Ghost, but mutant, and better. Psylocke, insane. Her damage is insane, her utility is insane, her ability to keep an opponent power locked forever, insane. Don't know how people sleep on her so much. Professor X, really good utility, really easy to use. Doesn't need synergies, anything like that. Same thing for Apocalypse and Strife. They just get better as you master them, but really good out of the box. Colossus, boring. Archangel, boring. Magneto, boring, but if you want to use them, you can, because they're still pretty good. Everybody here, mutant is stacked. You guys all know that. I'm not going to go on this anymore. That is the for this tier list. I love you guys. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Where's my camera? Right there. For all the thumbs up, for all the thumbs down, for all of the comments, for everybody subscribing and everybody in between, whether you're watching this and not subscribed or you're really angry that that this recap was perfect. Whatever it is, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good holiday, a good new year, all of that. Thank you so much for everything. Really does mean the world to me. But for right now, that's it, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.